Hello and welcome into this week's NASCAR K&N Pro Series Rewind show right here on Racing News Now. As always, I'm your host, Garth Allen. Thank you once again for joining me today. If this is your first time catching a Racing News Now video, consider going down below to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell for notifications so you don't miss a thing going forward from RNN. On today's K&N Rewind, we're looking back at the 12th race of the 2019 K&N Pro Series West season, the NAPA Auto Parts ENEOS 150. 150 laps, 50 miles around the third mile, All-American Speedway in Roseville, California. The Roseville October Classic. And we saw some classic racing in this tonight. This was a good race. Kind of dominated by one driver for the most part, but we saw some good racing back in the pack. The Roseville typically puts on a pretty good show, even if we did have a bit of a battle for the lead. I'll put it that way. But it wasn't super intense. Most of the really hard racing was from about, I'd say, fourth on back. You kind of had your top two, which were there together, but really not battling all that hard. Third was kind of in his own little bubble, and then fourth on back was kind of the real battling in this race. We had 5 caution flags, total 29 laps in this race. First one came at lap 9 for debris in turn 2. Second one at lap 19 as the 78 of Jack Wood spins in turn 2. Lap 57, this is when things got interesting. Derek Kraus had led from the drop of the green flag. He had started from the outside pole, outside his teammate Hailie Deegan, who had won the pole for this race. And Kraus had led the first 54 laps of this race. Lap 57, he spun on the backstretch with a flat tire. That really changed the complexion of this race, as Kraus, who had been the dominant car for the early stages of the race, the first third of this race, he's mired back in the pack now. And to add to that, Kraus came into this race with a fairly large points lead. Without some big trouble out of him in one of these last 3 races, there's really not a great chance for Huddleston, Jones, or Deegan to get back into this. This looked like it might be their opportunity to get back into this championship battle, because Kraus did go, was it 2 laps down? He went at least 1 lap down. He might have went a couple laps down from this. So he was mired back there, kind of stuck off the lead lap, and this could have been a big opportunity for those other drivers. We'll see how this plays out for the rest of the race. Only 2 other caution flags in this race. Fourth caution was at lap 112 for the 08 of Travis Milburn, spinning in turn 4. And the final caution came at lap 122 as the 77 of Takuma Koga wrecks in turn 1. Now, we talked about lap leaders. There were only 2 lead changes in this, one lead change in this race among 2 drivers. Kraus, of course, did lead the first 54 laps from the outside pole. Jagger Jones took the lead on lap 55. Had a hard-charging Hailie Deegan behind him for those final 2/3 of the race, but he never faltered. Jagger Jones took the victory in this one, his first K&N Pro Series victory. A little bit of redemption for the season opener at Las Vegas, where he lost it to Hailie Deegan there in the final lap to that bump and run. Was able to hold her off in this one, and a very, very strong win for the driver of that 6 car for Bob Brincotti and Sunrise Ford. Very, very strong run out of Jagger Jones. I think we're finally seeing the potential that we expected to see out of Jagger Jones. It's not that he had a bad start to the season. It's just that we didn't see him contending for wins a lot up until recently. I mean, you look at the last race at Meridian. He led a lot of laps in that race. Led 121 laps at Meridian. Had probably the strongest car in that race, and unfortunately had the incident there near the end of the race with Derek Kraus, and wasn't able to bring it home at the end of the race to contend for the win. Was able to come out in this race dominant as he was in Meridian, and was able to hold on for the win in this one. And I think this is the first of many wins that we're going to see out of Jagger Jones going forward. Hailie Deegan did hold on for a second place finish. Strong run for her. Trevor Huddleston there in the third position. Derek Kraus fought his way all the way back to the fourth position at the end of the race. Mired a lap down after that accident there at the 1/3 mark of the race. Got the free pass on that final caution for the Takuma Koga wreck. Battled his way back through the pack for a fourth place finish. So not as bad of a points night for Kraus as I think a lot of his contenders had hoped it would be. But they still did gain a few points on him in this race, and Todd Souza rounds out the top 5. Rest of your top 10, Brittany Zamora, Buddy Shepard, Travis Milburn, Derek Dooring, and Keith McGee are rounding out the top 10. Final page 11 through 16th, Bridget Burgess there in the 11th position, career best run for her in that 34 car. Dylan Garner there in the 12th position. Decent run for him going this weekend. Unfortunately not able to finish it out, and then came home there in that 12th position. Then everybody else down here 13th through 16th had mechanical failure or, in Takuma Koga's case, an accident happening at some point in the night that kept them from finishing the event. So that's your results from the NAPA Auto Parts ENEOS 150 from All-American Speedway, Roseville, California. Working on Jagger Jones' interview should be tomorrow. So look for that to come out tomorrow. In the process of figuring out exactly what time tomorrow we'll be recording that with him, but it looks like it definitely will be tomorrow. So keep an eye out for a Jagger Jones winner interview tomorrow here on RNN. Make sure you got your notifications turned on. First off, make sure you're subscribed. And make sure you hit that bell. That way your notifications are on. That way you know when that Jagger Jones interview comes out so you can hear his thoughts after his first K&N Pro Series victory. All right, on to your point standings following this race with 2 races remaining in the 2019 season. And with Derek Kraus rebounding for that 4th place finish, not a lot of change here in terms of how close his nearest competitors got to him, but there is a little bit of change here. Trevor Huddleston did hold steady in that 2nd position. Didn't gain any points on Kraus, though. Because Kraus led 54 laps in this race, he did get a bonus point for leading a lap. Did not lead the most laps, as that went to Jagger Jones. But Kraus did get an extra point for leading laps, and with Huddleston finishing in 3rd, they both left this race with 41 points. So the gap from 1st to 2nd stays at 40 points, leaving Roseville. Now the changes come down here at 3rd and 4th. Both Jagger Jones and Hailie Deegan gained points on Derek Kraus in this race. Jagger Jones, of course, winning the race and picking up 48 points for winning the race and leading the most laps. He gained 7 points on Derek Kraus in this race and has moved into that 3rd position in points. Now 41 points back of Derek Kraus in the championship hunt. Hailie Deegan slips back to the 4th spot. Did gain points on the leader, though. Not many. Well, I say points. She gained a point. 42 points is what she gained in this race. So she gained 1 point there on Derek Kraus in this race. She's now 44 points back heading into Bakersfield here in a couple of weeks. So that's your current look at the point standings here with just a couple of races left, Bakersfield and Phoenix. Kraus still with a commanding lead here at this point. Again, it's going to take some bad luck on his part. It's going to take a little more bad luck than he had in this race, because this bad luck he was able to rebound from and at least hold steady on his points lead. But it's definitely going to take mechanical failure or wreck or something for Huddleston, Jones, or Deegan to get back into this championship battle, because at this point, 40 points is a lot to make up in 2 races in a K&N Pro Series race, given that we've only got 15 to 20 cars most races. So it's going to be tough. In fact, it's almost impossible at this point mathematically. I don't want to necessarily give it to him yet, because we don't know what car counts are going to be at Bakersfield and Phoenix. But this may be a Sam Mayer situation from the east side where you don't want to officially say he's the champion, but realistically, with the way car counts have been, he probably is. It's going to be very tough. We're going to need some fairly large fields, and these guys and girl are going to need some bad luck out of Kraus to be able to get back into this. Otherwise, I think he's pretty well set at this point. If we keep around this 14 to 16 cars that we've had the past few races in the K&N West, I think he's all but locked it up, because you got to figure we had a 20-point gap between first and last in this race. Jagger Jones picked up 48 points from this race, and Jack Wood in 16th picked up 28 points. That's a 20-point swing first to last. So technically, if we have 16 cars the next two races, the best Trevor Huddleston could do is tie Derek Kraus. And that's if Huddleston wins both races and Kraus finishes last in both races. Again, that's hypothetically speaking that we have 16 cars in these next two races, which we've been around 15 to 16 cars most races this season with the K&N standalone races. So it's all but wrapped up at this point for Derek Kraus, I think. Unless we get some crazy high car counts at these next two races that we're not expecting, it's I think we're pretty well looking at our 2019 K&N West champion in Derek Kraus at this point. Barring some unforeseen circumstances, him having to miss some races, very large car counts, and him having some bad luck, it's pretty much Derek Kraus's championship at this point. We'll see what happens at Bakersfield, what the car count looks like, and what the point spread after that race looks like. But I think it's pretty safe to say Derek Kraus is your 2019 K&N West champion at this point. But that is your point standings following the NAPA ENEOS 150 from Roseville, and I believe that'll do it for us on this K&N Rewind show. Not going to be able to do a Truck Series Rewind this weekend, just don't have the time for it, unfortunately. So I apologize if you were looking forward to that, but not going to be able to do that. It was a wild one with Spencer Boyd picking up his first Truck Series victory after Johnny Sauter was penalized for forcing Riley Herbst below the yellow line on the last lap. Crazy last lap in Talladega. Unfortunately, just not going to have the time to put together a full Rewind show for that. But we are working on a Spencer Boyd interview to talk about that win. Keep an eye out for that here within the next couple of days on that, as well as that Jagger Jones interview. Should be sometime tomorrow on Sunday, so keep an eye out for that. Should be a Cup Rewind tomorrow night for their race in Talladega, so keep an eye out for that as well. Should be it'll probably be pretty late tomorrow night, but keep an eye out for that. Probably more like Monday morning, but should be one of those tomorrow night nonetheless. Diecast review as usual coming up on Wednesday. And then we'll be back at the track on Friday with ARCA at Kansas for their season finale of the 2019 season. 15 points separating Christian Eckes and Michael Self heading into the final race of the season. It's going to be a good one. So you definitely don't want to miss the coverage we have from Kansas coming up on Friday. But if you haven't done it already, you need to go down below, hit that subscribe button, ring the bell for notifications so you don't miss a thing going forward from RNN. While you're down there, I want you to hit that big thumbs up button if you like the video. It is much appreciated when you do. But at that, this has been the NASCAR K&N Pro Series Rewind Show. I'm Garth Allen for Racing News Now.